It's a very costly method and is generally not used for larger projects. And this is a short video on the installation of prefabricated vertical drains. The machine used is just the normal excavator, where the bucket is replaced with the mast that's seen. The white small ribbon-like structures, those are the prefabricated vertical drains. And once the mast brings up prefabricated vertical drain, it is cut to around 0.5 meter to 1 meter length above the ground surface, and then a granular drainage blanket is laid over this prefabricated vertical drains so that the water can easily move out of the surface. And now moving on to grouting. I would like to discuss just these four of the grouting techniques that are used. Particulate grouting. Grouting in general, when we hear the term grout, we have a feeling it's like some chemicals. In this context, it is not generally the chemicals that are used. Grouting can be even when a fine-grained soil mixed with water is used. That can also be termed as grouting in ground improvement techniques. When that is particulate grouting. When there is a coarse sand or gravel deposit whose permeability need to be reduced, we can just mix fine-grained soil with water and then pump into the voids with high pressure so that the fine-grained soil fills the gaps, and that can also be called grouting. It need not necessarily include chemicals. That is particulate grouting, and in that case the grout is generally a suspension. And in chemical grouting, the grout is is always a proper solution. That is, there is no particulate matter or there is no suspension. It is always a solution. And the chemical grouting is hence more uniform and results in very hard sandstone-like masses below the ground. But the chemical grouting is a very costly method. And then we have jet grouting and displacement grouting. We'll have a look at the jet grouting. In jet grouting, there are, if you can see, this is the nozzle that this is the rotary part that goes into the soil, that cuts into the soil. There are three types of jet grouting that is generally done. This one is a single fluid jet grout. A single fluid because there is just one nozzle and just grout comes out of it. These are not generally done in very hard strata or like difficult or heavy or strata having heavier particles. There are two more types of jet grouting that is done. That is double fluid jet grouting and triple fluid jet grouting. In double fluid jet grouting, there would be two nozzles. Like the air at very high pressure would be forced through one of those nozzles, which loosens the material, loosens the soil material, and then through the second nozzle, the grout mixes up with the soil material and forms the grouted column. And in the triple fluid jet grouting, there would be three nozzles, one through which water at high pressure comes out, second one through which air at high pressure comes out, and the third one through which the grout comes out. And this is a chemical grouting. See, as you can see, this grouting is a technique which doesn't require much space. In this, a perforated rod is inserted into the ground first, and then if you can see, the black portions are where from the grout comes out, and the next would come from somewhere here. And as you can see, this is being inserted through the foundation. So even this can be used as a remediation ground improvement technique. That is, once the structure is constructed and then we find that we need to do some improvement, or we need a change, or we need better properties for the soil beneath the foundation, then we can go ahead with grouting. See, here they wanted to make a cut here, and they already had the structure here. This is without making the soil below the structure safe for the vertical cut, they can't go ahead with making this cut. So they chose chemical grouting as to safeguard the structure too. Stabilization using admixtures. There are three methods in this. The admixtures could be anything from sand or gravel or cement or lime. Earlier it was a method followed was remove and replace, but this is possible only if a very small volume of sand is to be improved. When there is a large volume of sand to be improved, this doesn't prove to be economically viable. Or even, and then another method that is being used for mixing admixtures is mix in place piles or walls, or it can also be called as deep mixing. Even deep mixing and shallow mixing are it is the depth. There is no specific depth at which we call it shallow mixing, or like you can't divide it at a very particular depth. It's all about the machineries that is used for mixing the soil with the admixtures. So this is a short video on the deep mixing technique. That is the mixing head. That is the mixing head that mixes the admixture along with the soil. That mixes the admixture along with the soil, and pile-like columns are formed of the admixture and soil mixture. Now these admixtures find many advantages. Like they can be used to dry up wet soil. Like when we add lime to soil, when we mix lime with soil, the first reaction that happens is exothermic. So the first reaction that happens is exothermic. So that generates heat, and because of the heat, the soil loses its moisture and dries up. And at a later stage, like after a few days, the lime and the soil reacts, and very strong columns, or how it depends on how the soil is mixed. If it is mixed in columns as shown in the video, then very strong columns or piles are formed. And it also provides volume stability when the admixtures are used. That is, it can be used to change the expansive nature of clays, like reducing swell and for controlling shrinkage. And it can also be used to reduce the erodibility. Like it can bind the particles, like cement and lime when used can be used to bind the soil particles together and prevent it from getting eroded, even when water table rises or falls, or the water flows through the soil. It can also be used for permeability control and also for dust control. Now moving on to soil reinforcement. So again, the vibro replacement stone columns and sand columns. This is a method that is used very similar to the vibro flotation that we had mentioned. The difference is that this is used in soft clays and alluvial deposits. Here what happens is it doesn't densify the deposit or the soft clay. The density doesn't change because unlike in sand, when the jet of water is sprayed, the sand particles tend to push against each other and move closer to each other. But in the case of clays, the finer particles get washed away and out of the borehole. So a huge borehole is created when the vibrofloat is used in soft clays and alluvial deposit, and the borehole is then filled with columns or sand, and which makes stone columns or sand columns. And then another method is soil nailing. Soil nailing is a very effective method to prevent landslides. Many slopes have been reinforced with soil nails. The nails which are used are generally reinforcement bars or cement grout. Or it can be a combination of both. Like the reinforcement bars, it can be inserted into the soil mass, and then it can be covered with a grout, and then it can be bolted onto the soil surface. And strips and membranes can also be used as soil reinforcement. These are mainly geotextiles or geosynthetic strips and membranes can be used for reinforcement. The cost also is in comparison lower because the equipments used are not very specialty equipment. Here's a short video on soil nailing. It is being grouted and there is a reinforcement rod inside that was soil nailing. So here's a list of a few companies to work with if GIT, that is ground improvement techniques, interests you. This is a very short list which I have come across, like whose case studies I have referred to or on the sites that I have worked in. I have this is a very short list. You will get a longer list, but this is a list to start with. Maybe to summarize, I think we have understood what ground improvement is and why it is necessary. We had also gone through the case study of Leaning Tower of Pisa, where ground improvement techniques helped avoid failure or damage. We also looked at the various ground improvement methods and also their suitability in different soil types. So if you are interested in learning more about the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the case history, there are a lot of papers available in the net, and that is really interesting case study. As civil engineers, I think that is we should all have a general idea about that. And since you are interested in ground improvement techniques, an interesting case study. So these are the sources, the videos that I showed you in the presentation. And thanks for your time.